G'day everyone. This is kind of the day 3 vlog. But also not. So we're recording this a few days later.
Yes.
We're going to run you through what actually happened on our first day in Hobart on this trip.
Yeah, absolutely. So you may have seen in the last video, I had commented that Matt had to be taken down to the medical centre. Unfortunately, he was in a lot of pain in his stomach area. Weren't sure, it wasn't presenting like a gastro or anything like that. It was almost like contractions. I was saying to him, like his belly was contracting a lot. So anyway, we did that the night before, and as I left, he was put back into the room for the night.
Yep. Cabin.
Room, yeah. Anyway, so the next day we had the appointment back down at the medical centre. That was at 8:30 in the morning. And look, he was feeling slightly better.
Yeah, look, I was feeling all right. Like I definitely wasn't 100%. I was pretty tender. The doctors on board were fairly satisfied that as best as they could be with all their sort of facilities on board, that anything major was kind of ruled out, but they wanted to be sure that it wasn't appendicitis, and
that was the main thing, because we were going to be back at sea.
Yeah, we were going to be back.
Couldn't risk him having a burst appendix on a ship when then you'd have to be medevaced out.
Yep.
So they did want us to go and get him checked to make sure that it wasn't that.
So I guess I want to, or maybe we'll continue on, and then what I want to do is I actually want to come back and talk about what happened that night down in the medical, or maybe we should now. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, just do it now.
Just do it now.
Yeah.
So, because I think we see so many questions in internet forums, and we get them on our channel. We get them as direct messages about travel insurance, and we always travel with travel insurance.
Yeah. Always.
And in the time we've been traveling together in the last 8 years or 9 years, 8 years, we've never actually had to make a claim.
No.
But we are making our first insurance claim, and that's because of the costs that are on board. So there's kind of two parts to this cost with the healthcare, and it's what we had on board the ship, and then we're fortunate here in Australia. Obviously, we have Medicare, so once we got off and had some further investigations done in Hobart at the hospital, that was covered by Medicare. But we got the bill, and look, we have no complaints with the service, so we need to say this up front. Like, and when you look line by line, because we got a statement here at the end. Everything was line itemed that they did.
Every blood test.
Everything. I actually couldn't fault like the individual prices per item.
No.
You work in healthcare.
Yeah.
So you know how this sort of goes. There was nothing unreasonable. The I guess unreasonable, and what some people would sometimes I maybe get mixed up in is, you got to remember, on the ship this is charged in US dollars, so you're instantly adding 40% to the cost.
Yeah.
Because of the exchange rate. So the total bill for the which included all the professional services, so the nurses, the doctors.
Yep.
The nurses, the doctors, medications, supplies, all of that sort of stuff was $1,656.59 US.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of an ouch, but we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
He needed the help, and hopefully our insurance company will come through. We can't see any reason why there wouldn't be. So obviously, if there is, we'll let you know. But that was that night.
They also, what they did is they also gave 2 really detailed reports. One was more like a discharge summary letter that we could take either to the GP back home, or in our case, it was the Hobart Hospital the next day. But they also gave like a full summary report.
Yeah, it's very detailed discharge summary.
Very detailed discharge summary. Goes through initial consultations. In fact, one of the things I really appreciate about this is it actually stepped through the different diagnostic points, and it tracked that, where they were suspicious of X, suspicious of Y.
Yeah.
Then the final diagnosis. Which was, I thought, really, really good. So, can't fault the service, but costly.
Yeah, that's why we have insurance.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask about travel insurance. Oh, should I get travel insurance for a domestic cruise? Well, this is a domestic cruise. This is a cruise that left Sydney. It is going only and has only been to domestic ports, and it will be returning to Sydney.
Yeah, correct. So, look, it doesn't matter if you're on a 2-day or a 100-day, medical things can happen. So, look, it's only our advice. You do what you will with it. If you want to take the gamble, go for it, but we certainly won't be.
That's exactly it. We're not financial planners or anything like that, so we can't say go and get insurance or recommend even a specific product, because that's always got to be up to your own individual circumstances. But we highly do recommend, like, traveling without insurance, just too risky. And look, it has bitten us a little bit. Like, we've kind of had to do a bit of a shuffle, but that's what happens.
But imagine if you had to be medevaced off, the cost that would come with that.
Yeah, and having helicopters and all those sort of things. So, which is a really good segue into the next day. So we got off in Hobart, and the doctor on board, we saw him, the one we saw on the ship, we saw him that morning again, just to make sure he was happy with everything and see how I got through the night. And we thought, he's like, oh, look, I'd really like it if you can, you could go to the hospital and get a check. We're here for 2 days, so it would be good if you could. I was probably a little bit gung-ho, and I'm like, maybe I'll be right. I'll be right. I was still feeling like I was feeling a heck of a lot better than the night before, where I was in a hospital, in the medical centre. You're in your beautiful gown for your birthday. I'm laid out, strapped up on the hospital bed.
Strapped up.
Plugged up. Plugged up?
More like it. But anyway, so look, toing and froing, it wasn't sitting right with me that we just didn't get it checked, because I just didn't want that to happen if it potentially was. So we've taken ourselves off to Hobart Hospital.
We didn't just take ourselves off. I'm like, no, we're going to have a wander. We'll take it easy. I'm a bit tender. We'll take it easy for the day. We get off the ship in Hobart, and there's an ambulance parked next to the cruise terminal. And then we walk up, and the first thing we see on the next directional sign for a map of the local area, like a wayfinding sign, is the first thing you see, Hobart Hospital, dead centre in it. And then there was, you turn the corner and look up, and there's the sign for Hobart Hospital, and Deb's like, that's it.
There's too many signs.
Too many signs. You're going.
I did.
And I'm like, all right. I gave in. I'm like, fine. I can take that.
Yeah. Look, we don't want to drag this story out long, but just to give you a bit of an overview, obviously we were at the hospital. They ran a bunch of tests. They decided that the best thing, easiest is how they put it first, was for him to get a CT scan. Let's just see what we're looking at. So then I think we sat there for 3 hours waiting for that results. And then the next thing, one of the doctors walks up to us and said, just letting you know that I'm just consulting with a surgeon at the moment. I'll be back with you shortly. And I just gone, whoa, Surgery for what? It's
What?
like, I'm just consulting, I'll come back. So then for that sort of, I think it was 30 minutes, she came back. We were like, okay, how do we pack up the ship? Like, how do we get our bags? We were just thinking worst case here.
Insane.
Yeah. And then literally the next thing, they go and put him around in a bed.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes,
Surgeons in front of me.
surgeon's there, but they're like rushing him into resus. And we're just like, what's going on? And that's when they turned around and literally said to us that they thought that he had a dissected artery in his abdomen and he would potentially need surgery and it was very serious and that he could die. So this is what we're faced with. So I was in an absolute like panic-ish, like going, okay, who do I contact? What do I do? How do I get my stuff off? Like, how's he going to be okay? It was horrible, to be honest. But they said, well, what we're going to do is we're just going to take you around for a more thorough CT at that exact area and see what we're dealing with. And so, yeah, for that, I think it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours later after that they finally came around and said, no, it's actually not a dissected artery. It's an inflamed part of his stomach.
Yeah, like totally.
So went from you're going to die, you need surgery, to it's just an inflamed part. Well, you need to see a rheumatologist and all this sort of stuff. I tell you what, it was a whirlwind.
Oh, it was absolutely
because it was a long night.
Very, very long.
But anyway, they asked him to stay overnight, but they couldn't really give us a reason why that was needed.
Well, when they said, oh, we want to do blood tests in the morning, and I'm like, well, what for? And they said, we want to track your inflammation markers. And I said, well, can you compare them to the ones from the ship? And they went, oh, yeah, we could do that. And they did, and they were coming down. And they're like, okay, you're good.
So anyway, we decided it was there was about 10 o'clock, and we
10 o'clock we got
that night.
Right.
I'll tell you what, we were so lucky that we actually didn't go to Adelaide and Hobart as planned, and that we did an overnighter in Hobart.
We were very, very fortunate because that day
looked down on, I tell you.
Yeah, that day was long. It was stressful. Ironically, like I had actually, before we even got off the ship that day, I'd actually put in the insurance claim for the bill from the night before. So yeah, it was a.
So yeah, sorry, there's not a lot of footage except for a couple of pictures.
Couple of pictures that of me in hospital beds, but it was certainly an experience, and I think probably one of the things I'd say is make sure you're prepared. In terms of making sure you've got the port agent for your cruise line saved in your phone. A lot of people forget to do this, and have that port agent number ready so that if something had happened and if we were there for the day, Deb would have been able to make one phone call and the port agent could get in touch with the ship and say, hey, you're going to have some passengers getting off. They would have been able to start assisting with getting the bags packed up and providing support to Deb to get us off the ship if needed and that sort of thing.
And look, that's one thing that the medical centre actually did say, that they were happy to contact the port agents as well to organise his care to the hospital and things like that.
Yeah.
So they were offering to do that for us. We just decided that we would do it ourselves.
Literally a 10-minute walk from the port to the hospital.
But if we were in a different country or something like that, I would have said yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think this video pretty much, we decided to do it in the way of, obviously things happen. I can guarantee you a lot of you are pretty much sitting there going, seriously, Deb and Matt? Sick again? We've
had a bit of a run, haven't we? We're a couple of cruises where we've had to, and it's one thing I think, you get a bit of a head cold or whatever, particularly on longer cruises or, once you relax out of, work mode and things like that. But it's we've had a bit of a bad luck run.
We have. But anyway, we're here. We're getting off. Tomorrow.
Yep.
So,
but you won't see that for a couple of more days because you've got another video coming up tomorrow, which will be day 2 in Hobart. and we went up to the top of Mount Wellington and had a bit of a wander around town. So it will be a great video for you to watch. We hope you do enjoy that one. I was still a bit tender, but anyway, you'll find out more about that. Don't want to spoil too much. If you found this video useful or have any questions, please put those questions in the comments. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you have not already. And we will see you in the next video.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.